Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, the podcast aimed to inspire you to find your voice and become the best, truest, and most authentic version of yourself. Spiritually intimate, soul-to-soul conversations, life-changing insights, and spiritual teaching and healing. Real, raw, unfiltered. Join your host, Tisha Michelle.
Welcome back to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul. Me, Tisha Michelle, your host. Hi guys, it feels like it's been such a long time. I know. Last week did not have a new episode and it just feels like it's just been forever, but it's literally just been 1 week. It's just another way to show how time is such an illusion, right? All right. But anyway, how have you guys been feeling? Have you checked in with yourself? There's a lot, going on in a lot of people's personal lives, but it's also a lot that's going on in the world, and it can become really heavy. So I want you to make sure that you're checking in with yourself so you're able to check in with others. And especially because a lot of people, and you could be one of them, and I'm guilty of it myself, is not checking in with myself, not, filling what they say, fill your cup up, not filling my cup up, but just pouring and giving to other people that, we forget to give to ourselves. So the more you start being intentional with checking in with yourself and how it is that you're feeling, then you're able to show up and check in on other people, because that person that you check in with might be someone that completely neglects themselves. And you reached out to them at the perfect timing, because they might have been feeling down and feeling like nobody cares. But in actuality, they're just not opening themselves up to, even receiving things from people. So it's very, very important. So I want you to ask yourself right now, how are you feeling? Actually, you know what I want you to do? Unless you're driving or operating some heavy machinery, I want you to just close your eyes and let's do a quick check-in. And I want you to place one hand over your heart and then put the other over your belly and just take some nice deep breaths and just breathe in through your nose and just out your mouth. And then I just want you to continue taking your nice deep breaths. And I want you to ask yourself, how am I feeling? What do you need? When you're talking to your body, what do you need? But I want you to notice the sensations you're feeling in your body. Where are you feeling them at? Are you feeling anything in your stomach? Maybe you're feeling it in your chest. Maybe you're feeling it in your back. Where? Where are you feeling? I want you to notice what's coming to mind. So when you said, how are you feeling? What was coming to mind? Just continue with your deep breathing. Just listening to your body. See, our body never lies to us. Our body will let us know when we're not in alignment somewhere or something is off. You just have to listen. You just have to be very intentional and take the time out to check in with yourself and listen. Listen to your body. What is it saying? What are some of the thoughts that's coming to your mind right now? Your feelings are your feelings and no one can ever take them away. So you want to acknowledge what you're feeling and then just go a little bit deeper. You're feeling amazing. You're feeling good. I love it. So why? Why do you feel so good? What's making you feel so good? What happened or what didn't happen? What is it? Recognizing those feelings so you can just ask for more of that and knowing what that feels like. Or if you're feeling off or you're feeling, triggered, you're feeling sad. Why are you sad? What's wrong? Let's try to put some words to those feelings. Let's see what stories are attached to those feelings so you know where do you need to change the story? Do you need to add to it, take a little bit away, or delete the whole damn thing because you completely made it up based off of nothing factual at all? Right? This is another reason why it's important to check in with ourselves. Now, while you're there, continuing with your deep breathing, now I want you to ask yourself and just say in this present moment, what am I grateful for? Are you grateful for the little bit of time that you just took out just now to check in with yourself to see how it is that you're feeling? Are you grateful for being able to recognize the sensations just by taking a little time out from the hustle and the bustle? Just to check in with yourself, and you're noticing that maybe you're a little sore in a certain area. What are you grateful for? Are you grateful for a conversation you might have just recently had? Grateful to just wake up? Are you grateful that you took a shower today? Maybe you've been in a little funk. Oh, no pun intended. Maybe you've been, in a stuck, stagnant mode, and you just didn't have the energy to do anything, but you got up off the couch or got up out the bed today. Grateful for that. In this present moment, what are you grateful for? So if you don't already do this, maybe make this a practice of yours. You might just set aside, once a day that you check in with yourself. Then you'll start really, the more that becomes a habit, you'll be constantly checking in with yourself. All right. So now I want you guys to go ahead and come back to the here and now. You might need to wiggle your body a little bit, stretch it out and stuff. Maybe you had some tears falling. Maybe you need to pause this. Maybe you need to pause and just sit with some things and then come back to the podcast. Whatever you do is perfect for you. Just promise me and promise yourself that you'll make it a priority to check in with yourself. Because remember, again, our body stores emotions and that energy can get trapped. And we want to let it out, but we want to let it out in a healthier way. Right? All right. So, don't you guys just feel good? Doesn't it just feel good to do that? I know it does. I do it daily. All right. So what I wanted to talk to you guys today about, doing your best to not allow another person's beliefs or attitudes to make you question yourself or doubt yourself or lose compassion or turn your heart from warm to being cold and just be on some F everybody type of attitude. So I'm going to share a story with you and an experience of mine. So where it led me to wanting to talk about that. So if you've been listening to the podcast, you would have heard the episodes from the end of last year where I got into real estate and I got some properties. I can't remember if I talked about one of these already. And if I did, so you're just getting a recap. So I have these 3 houses and they're all next door to each other. And the house in the middle, the first 2 houses, once I purchased it, I already knew that I wasn't going to be renewing their lease. So the third house, they just moved in. And when I purchased it in November, the end of November, they just moved in October. So they already had a 6-month lease. So it wasn't about sending them a letter, they just moved in. So the first 2, I was like, I'm not going to renew them. So a little backstory of it. From a business standpoint, it doesn't make any sense to have those 2 people stay in there that was rented. The previous owner, they weren't at market rent. They weren't even nowhere near market rent. Literally, they were almost 2 times under what the market rent is. And the properties also need a lot of work and it needs to be done when people aren't in it. So ideally, it just didn't make any sense. And I knew that from the beginning. So I gave them their notice that I wasn't renewing. And legally, I only had to give them a 30-day notice. But just within myself and people having to find places to live and all of that stuff, I gave them a 60-day notice. So I gave them more than enough time. So, I wanted to have that harmony of I need to do what's best for me, but also being considerate of other people. So a little more of a backstory on the middle house, that guy, it was him and his wife. He was very, very, very aggressive. And I only talked to him 2 times since in the whole process of things, and they weren't pleasant. It was definitely him going off on me. So I wasn't taking them to court for any money or anything that was owed, because in my mind, I already took that I took that L, I took that loss, but not even as a loss. I'm like, I don't even want to look at it like that, but I'm not going to go after them for that. This is the date that he has to be out and he'll move, and I'll just keep it moving. So the 2 months that wasn't paid, it is what it is. Well, I got pushed back, and he was basically, to make a long story short, he was like, I ain't going nowhere. I got time. And he said, I was told that, yeah, my lease is up on that day, but I don't have to be out. I have another 10 days, which then showed me that he's someone who's worked the system and understands that, legally, I have to go through certain matters to actually physically get him out of the house. So I went that route. And the guy actually showed up to court, and I was very surprised that he showed up to court because he had nothing to stand on. And I didn't learn this until after. Well, think about this till afterwards. He had everything to stand on, and it was his belief. It was what he believed to be true, even though it was nothing factual about it. It was just his belief. And he showed up to court, and he did the best thing that he could have ever done, which was to be himself. And he got up in court and he acted a complete ass, like he's done like in real life. And so the judge was able to see that. And I was like, man, this guy really believes this. But it was his wife. His wife raised her hand. And when she raised her hand, the judge, said to speak. And she said, I just don't understand. Why would we have to pay rent if we need that money to move? And I was taken back, like, wow. And if you could have seen the judge's face, was like, what? It's probably some of y'all too. Like, what? Is she for real? Yeah, she was for real. So made me think about the fact that she really believes that. Like, she really believes that. And how do you change someone's belief, right? So it just makes you look at things differently. So as much as we were taken back, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, you lived in this place. Why would you not have to pay the money? Like, that's just so bizarre to me. But again, it was her beliefs, and it was his beliefs too, because they showed up at court, and they showed up to court with nothing to stand for. And after the judge went through everything, he said, look, talking about me, he was like, she did everything that she was supposed to do legally. Like, you were supposed to be out and you owe this money. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So everything was in my favor, but it was just so bizarre to me. I'm like, why did they even show up? And I was like, they have nothing to stand on. And I was like, oh, they did. Their belief that they believed that they didn't have to be out then and that they didn't have to pay me anything. That was their belief. It didn't set into the reality, but it was. So I was like, man, what is wrong with people? And then the house was left very, 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 very nasty. It was terrible the way the house was. So it's costing me so much more money. But you know what? It's all good. I wanted to get into real estate. So you take everything that comes with it, right? But I found myself being mad because I'm like, I should have never gave him 60 days. I should have just gave him the 30 days I was allowed. And, I should have did this. Or I should have did that. Like, so you can't be nice to people, right? So that was there. So then the second house, well, which is the first house, but this happened afterwards. They're also friends. So I already knew that they were going to be a problem because I was like, man, they're friends. So if this house is going to be a problem, 9 times out of 10, these are probably going to be a problem. But then I had a client of mine say to me, she said, no, she was like, that's good. She's in real estate heavy. She said, that's good that they're friends because when you do this with this one, they're going to know that you mean business. And I was like, I never looked at it like that because I'm just like, birds of a feather flock together, like, here we go. It's going to be problems. But, so they were supposed to be out, say, February 20th. And they asked me, could they have a couple of more days? And it was very nice. We had a conversation, can I have a couple more days just to get everything out because I had to take off work and all that? No problem. I have no problem with that. No, if the other ones would have asked me that without him going off on me, would have had no problem. And I said, yeah, I'll give you I said, will Wednesday work? And they said, yes. So that Wednesday came, which was also the same day I had to go to court for the other people. Well, I never got a message. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I sent them a text message from the work phone saying, hey, you were supposed to message me today. Are you out? Well, I never got anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pull up on them. So I go there and I see some cars on the side, but no one's answering the door. So I'm like, what? So I call her, the wife. And when I called her, it ended up turning into a therapy session. And those of you that know, like, this is what I do, right? I work with people on their traumas and I work with people on their stagnant phase and, believing in themselves and, all of that. So I call her and she answers and I'm like, hey, and she was like, I'm at work. No, I'm not out. So she starts crying and she tells me that her husband left. the husband left. So the husband was the one that had asked me for the couple of days. So of course I'm thinking he's speaking on behalf of the family, because why wouldn't he be if that's how we've talked before? And he was asking for those couple of days, but he packed up his stuff and he dipped. So she's like, I don't have anywhere to go with me and my kids. And he just left everything. He's a dirty dog. And she's crying and she's like, I just don't even know what to do. And I said, okay. I said, this is what I want you to do. And I was like, I want you to relax. You know, I want to tell somebody to calm down. I said, I want you to just relax, you know, and I want you to take some nice deep breaths. I want you to center yourself, get grounded, you know, feel what you're feeling. And then I want you to move forward, because you have these girls, you need to get somewhere to stay, and you need to, you know, figure these things out, right? And she's like, thank you. And I said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle back with you on Monday. This was remember, they were supposed to be out on the 20th, which was a Sunday. And they also had a little over 60-day notice. It was about 65 days from when I put the letter in to when they had to be out. Remember, legally, they only need 30 days. I only got to give them 30 days. But my own self, I gave them a little bit more. Then after those 60-something days, they then asked for a couple more days, which I said gave them till Wednesday. So then Wednesday come, and this is when we're having this conversation. So I said, look, I'm going to circle back to you on Monday. You don't have to worry about that. You know, you got to get your stuff out right now today. I said, but, you know, I'll give you until Monday, and then I'll have to do, you know, there. So in my mind, I'm like, if she's not out on Monday, I have to go to the courts and I have to do the process all over again, which is okay. It is what it is. And it also gives her more time legally. But at the same time, I can't keep extending your time without any legal protection, because, you know, people can take you for a ride. So out the kindness of my heart and the compassion, I said, look, you know, and when I said it turned into a therapy session, because then I started talking to her like I would talk to anybody else as things are coming and I'm giving these things and all that good stuff. All right, cool. So we got off the phone. I'm like, it is what it is. You know, I pray over and all. Well, Sunday comes, and this was from Wednesday. That Sunday comes, and I get a phone call from the tenants, the other house, which I love them dearly. And they say, have you talked to the people on the end? And I said, no. And they said, well, it looks like somebody tried to break in, like kicking the door. I went to the door and I was like, yep, knocking, and no one was coming. And then she said the cars are on the side of the house and all the doors are open, and you could tell people were like rummaging through and pulling things. And I said, well, call the cops, call the police. Because I don't know, her and her girls could be in there dead for all I know. I said, call the cops. So they called the cops, and she said that the cops came, they had their guns drawn, and they went in to secure the place. Well, no one was in there. And the house was horrible. And what the cop actually said was you need to let the owner know, talking about me, she just needs to light a match to this house. I was like, God damn, that's a bit dramatic. So I head out there. So I call her, and she actually answers the phone. I'm like, a little annoyed. I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, well, I was like, are you at the house? She's like, no, I'm gone. I'm like, were you not going to tell me this? You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, well, the police are there at the house, and somebody definitely kicked in the front door. And she's like, what? You know, but not really alarmed, you know? And I was like, this is interesting. So she was like, I said, well, at this point now, you know, anything that's in this house is trash, and the locks are being changed, right? So she said she needed her father's ashes. So I said, okay, I'll make sure that you get that. Of course, I'm not an asshole. You get that. Well, I go over there that day on Sunday, and she shows up. She comes there and she's talking to me and she's saying this stuff. And I said, well, look, I'm getting two different stories. I'm getting one from you and one from your husband. And it kind of seems like now y'all are just taking me in circles. And she's like, no, my story is the truth. He has everything. He left. Blase, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? Are you getting some stuff out of this house or not? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to grab what I can. Okay, cool. And I said, what about the car? She said, well, my daughter's and somebody else's. And I said, okay, well, look. And this was early on the Sunday. I said, they need to be gone by 6 p.m. tonight. If not, then I'm getting them towed, right? I need to be rid of all of this stuff, right? Mind you, they're supposed to have been gone from February 20th now. Okay, guys, remember? February 20th. And then that following week, Wednesday, still not gone. Gave them to that Monday, but that Sunday I ended up talking to her. So I said, they need to be gone. Okay. She said, I'm getting someone to pick them up. I said, cool. I didn't want to get them towed because I didn't want to have to pay for it. I'm already into it because the way that they left that house, I'm talking about broken windows, spray painted, shit everywhere, literally shit from the dog. they left fish in there, so it's a strong smell. So I'm like, look, all of it just needs to just be done. Let's release this energy and just be able to move forward. Well, Monday comes and they don't, it's the cars are still there. So I go out there and I'm out there, actually my mom with me, and watching, we're standing next to the two cars that are there, and I'm like, yeah, I got to get these towed. Well, these two guys pull up in the driveway, and they just sit there, and I'm like, that's not them. I don't know who they are. So my mom kind of put her hands up, like, hey, who are you? So they roll down the window. They're like, yeah, we're talking to the owner right now about the car. So I said the guy's name. I was like, oh, who? Such and such. And the guy was just looking, and I was like, well, are you getting I said, are you coming to buy the car? Because if not, I'm getting ready to get it towed. And he was like, and he just like started like just parking, and he was real loud, and he was like, y'all being real aggressive. Like, y'all being real aggressive. How I'm supposed to know if I want to buy this car if I haven't even driven it or not? And I'm now at this point, I'm mad confused, because who's being aggressive? I'm asking you a question, because if you are here looking to purchase this car, that means I'm not going to go and tow it, right? Right? Am I missing something? Like, I just need to know what you're looking to do before I make this move. So just not good vibes at all from these two guys. So I'm like, yeah, these cars and this stuff has to go, because it's just attracting just unnecessary things that I need. And people are crazy these days, right? So it's like, okay. So then somebody came and took one of the cars, and the neighbor's telling me this, the other tenant, and was like, yeah, they took one of the cars. I'm like, good. That means it's only one. I said, okay, well, if it's not picked up by tomorrow, which at this point now is Tuesday, by 9 a.m., I'm going to have them towed. Let's go back to what I said. I told the lady straight to her face on Sunday, if it wasn't picked up by 6, then I was getting it towed. Here we are on Tuesday. So let's pause real quick. It's a teaching moment. So that's what it looks like when you create a boundary and a person crosses a boundary and there's no consequence, right? So I said it needs to be picked up by 6 p.m. on Sunday, or I'm getting it towed. Well, here we are now Monday, and guess what? It wasn't picked up and I never got it towed. So people are going to try their hand. So when you're creating a boundary in your life and someone crosses that boundary, there has to be some form of a consequence, because if not, they don't see that shit. They don't see it. So when you go to create that boundary, make sure you have, what's going to come. What happens if you cross that boundary, right? If you say, don't text me, work stuff, before 8 a.m. because I'm not going to respond to it until after whatever the time is. And then that person crosses that boundary and then you respond right away. Guess what's going to keep happening? They're going to keep doing that because you haven't enforced it. But now, if you already told them this and then they still send you that message at 6 in the morning and you don't respond until 9, and they feel in some type of way, it doesn't matter. You created a boundary, and then you also showed them that there was a consequence when you cross that boundary. So that way people can stop doing that. So now they're like, oh man, okay, so I'm just going to wait until such and such because I'm not going to get a response and I'm going to feel some type of way, right? So I teach this to people all the time, but I also didn't enforce it in my own. I was just like, yeah, and I didn't do it. So come Tuesday, I did. They still weren't gone and I had it towed. And come to find out, guys, the thing that I was worried about getting it towed was I didn't want to have to pay for it because I knew I wasn't going to get this money back from them because they already owed, money for the damages of the house and everything. And then even just the extra time that you were just there. Come to find out, I didn't even have to pay. They said, no, we don't. No, we picked it up and we'll notify the police that we removed it off of private property and we'll store it in our yard, and that's on them. I was like, oh, cool, even better. Well, later on that day, I get a phone call and I come to find out the only reason why I got that call, they had no intentions on picking up the car, but the guy in the middle that I told you that was friends with them had a problem. He rode by and seen the cars weren't there and called them. So now the daughter calls me with a very, very bad attitude. And she kept saying, I'm ready to cuss your ass out. So I told her to do what she got to do. Right. So I say this all the time. I'm like, look, guys, I'm human too. I'm not that far removed. I'm going to push back. I'm going to sometimes analyze some things and see where your trauma is speaking and not take it personal. But I'm also human. So she was saying all this stuff because she was calling to get the number for the tow thing. And I was trying to give it to her, but she just kept talking. And then she said, you did my mom dirty. And that's when I lost it. And when I say lost it, like, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Like, my feelings were really hurt that she said that. And because I don't even know these people and I inherited this house and them as tenants. And ever since the beginning, I've done nothing but work with them. Even beforehand, I'm like, where, if I have knew anybody that was renting, I let you know. And then I didn't because some other stuff. I was like, yeah, they wouldn't be great tenants. But we've had a couple conversations. We've talked like a lot about like stuff. Like, I gave you the 60 something days, and then I gave you the extra time that you asked me for, even though y'all were just lying and playing around. Even when she was crying, I held space for her. I gave her some feedback, just to really remind her that she can get herself together. And yes, this is unfortunate with your husband, but you have your kids to think about, and just spent that time, with her, and then gave her extra time. And then you already left and you never communicated with me. And then you have people coming. You said you're going to get the car and you didn't. And then you have these guys showing up, just being real, just not a good vibe at all. And you're going to call me and say that I did your mom dirty? Who the hell you think you talking to? And that was my attitude. So I pushed back on her. And then I told her, I said, actually, you're not even on the lease. So you're not supposed to be at the house, and neither are your cars. Like, why am I even having this conversation with you? So, I mean, she got slick at the end once I gave her, she's like, just give me the number. I was like, I've been trying to give it to you. So I gave her the number, and she was like, yeah, because I'm ready to cuss your ass out. And then she hung up, and I was like, whatever. So I started thinking about it because I was so pissed. And I said, okay, why am I so mad? And I was like, you know what? I'm not even mad at them. I'm mad at myself. So I was just like, that was stupid. I should have never gave them 60 days. I should have gave them 30 days. I should have never let them extend it because they had all of this time. I was like, this is why you can't help people out, because people just don't care. People are just shitty. And I'm just done. Fuck that shit. Everything that is legal, I'm just going to go by that. I'm not having compassion for no one, because people just, they feel entitled to things of yours. They don't appreciate it. And I was just saying all this stuff, and I just started thinking about it. I said, damn, I am now allowing somebody else's beliefs and attitude to make me question the compassion that I have in my heart, and the things that I'm doing from a place of kindness, and things that I don't have to do, but I'm choosing to do it because I have compassion for people. And I had this one person, because of her beliefs and what they were thinking, and thinking that I'm doing her mom dirty, and not seeing all the things that I did do, and how at the end of the day, I don't have to do anything. I don't even know you. I just got to go by the book, because there's legal things that we do got to follow. And I went by everything legally, and they were in violation, not me. But I'm like, but I'm allowing that person to make me say, fuck everybody. Literally, I said this, and I was like, I'm not having compassion for people. I don't care what you're going through, whatever the case is. Like, it's not my problem. And just be that person. And that's not me. Like, that's not me as a whole. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that, because like, where in your life have you allowed yourself to not have compassion for anyone because of someone else's thoughts and their projections and their beliefs, but it caused you to not be the kind and loving person that you are? And I had to go a little bit deeper and think in the aspect of like, wait a minute, I didn't do this for recognition. I didn't extend these things and have that just so somebody can say like, oh, I appreciate what you did for my mom. I didn't do it for that. I did it because I wanted to. So I'm not going to allow someone, which I did allow, because she took up a lot of space, because I was fucking pissed. And that piss where you just want to tell everybody about everything that's going on. You done told the story about 6 or 7, 8 times, but it just makes you madder each time. Yeah, I'm a lot more aware. So I didn't go that route. I did talk about it to 2 different people, but I talked to them about everything. So, but yeah, so, and it's not allowing that to change just who you are and change your heart, and not have your heart open and not have compassion. So even if that's like the case, it's kind of like where you be like, I don't want to give that homeless person my money for them to go buy cigarettes or to go do this or to go do that. It doesn't matter, as long as what they do with it is what they do with it. How they feel and perceive it is how they feel and perceive it, but it's just the point that you, from the kindness of your heart and having empathy and sympathy and compassion for someone, you extended help or you gave money, and what they did with it has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with you. You just did what felt good for you, and that's all that matters. And I had to be reminded of that, because what I was doing felt good to me, and it felt right. I didn't feel like you're playing me, because if I even was questioning my intuition, I was like, wait a minute, because basically she was, because not that she was, but the reason why her husband left was, from what I've heard, that was confirmed, was that she cheated on him, and there was a video and he seen the video. So I probably would have packed up too. And they're not actually his kids, which doesn't really matter if you raised them, but just saying. So there was a little more to that story. So I was questioning myself. I'm like, why didn't I feel this? Why did I feel it? And I was like, wait a minute, stop it. It doesn't matter what her story is. It doesn't matter if she was feeding me bullshit. It was just the fact that I showed another person compassion. And that's all that mattered. And I almost let these people take that away from me. And I wanted to talk to you guys about it, because I don't want anybody else's attitudes or beliefs or perspectives on things to make you cold-hearted and to make you lose the level of compassion that you have for humanity and just, people in general, because it's not about them. It's about you. It's 100% about you and your choices and how you feel about things and how you want to handle things. And it's not about the other person. They have their own journey, their own battle to go through. And maybe your interaction with them can help them to see things another way or something. I don't know. But then maybe it's not even your job to, because I found myself trying to say all these things that I did for her mom to like prove that I wasn't doing their mom dirty. But people are going to think and believe what they want to believe. And the only thing that matters is what you believe and what you know to be true, not someone else. You don't have to convince somebody that you didn't do their mom dirty. Right. And someone said to me, they said, well, maybe she doesn't know everything that was said, like from her mom. I said, that could be the case. But I said, but a lot of it she does know, because some things that she was saying. And she also knows how the house was left and how they were living in there. And when she said that I did her mom dirty, I didn't really think about this till after the fact, is that neither one of those cars were the mothers. They were the daughters. So her speaking, and in the midst of it, I wasn't thinking about that until I said, you not even on the lease and you're not supposed to be there, neither are your car. So, but both of the cars, and if I aren't even, both of them are actually hers. So yeah, it was an interesting time. And, I always, if you've been listening to me, I say it's easy to check other people, but hard to check like yourself. And that was a moment of me checking myself, because I got so mad. And I went off. And when I went off, meaning I definitely raised my voice, and I was like, wait, I told her, do what you got to do. You're not going to threaten me about cursing me out. That's what makes you feel better. Go and do it. But I would like to know why you're cursing me out. And now I know, because you think that I did your mom dirty because I had the car towed after I told her on Sunday and we are on Tuesday. You know what I mean? So do what you got to do, handle your business. But I was just like, yo, why am I even talking to you? What am I even talking to you for? This is so pointless right now. But just checking myself to say, why did you get triggered? Why did you get so mad? Why did she take up so much space? And it was because I was mad at myself, and I was questioning myself. And I was like, I should have never had that compassion for her. I should have just said, no, I don't know what to tell you. Today is Wednesday. I gave you till February 20th, and I gave you extra days, and you're not out. So the locks are changed, and it is what it is. And I would 100% be in compliance legal wise. Because she also left. And then with the cops coming and, and the cops even told the other tenant, yeah, let her know, come change the locks. And they're like, up, she has every right to, which I knew that anyway. But just saying, I was, allowing another person, and me trying to convince them of all the good things that I did, that I didn't do a person dirty. And it was like, wait a minute, you ain't got to do that. So if that's you, or this is resonating, and you can think of a time that has happened and it shaped you now, that you don't have compassion for people, and you don't trust people, and you won't help people because you think people are going to not do right, or they're not going to give you recognition or anything of that sort, I would just say, just stop. And remember, it is about you, and you get to operate from that place of, if you feel like you want to have compassion for this person, then you extend that compassion, because that's you, that's building you up. And if they don't perceive it well, or they don't give a fuck that you show them compassion because they feel entitled to it and all, that's them. That's their story. That's their journey. It's not yours. It is not yours at all. So for me, I had to do that evaluation, that check in myself, and look and say, what could I have done better? I looked at the whole thing, and part of what I know that I could have done better was follow through with what I said that I was going to do when it didn't happen. Right? Because then I won't be mad at myself for just being like, okay. Also, what I could have done better was I could have called a tow truck company and said, hey, this is the situation. What would I have to pay to have these cars picked up? At that point, I would have known I didn't have to pay anything, and I would have just had it towed on Sunday. But it being stretched out until Tuesday, people just got comfortable. And because they got comfortable, and now that I'm doing something about it, it's like, wait a minute, you're so wrong for it. So when you're ever experiencing things that's going on in your life and all, instead of looking at it as such a bad situation or terrible or whatever, analyze the whole thing and then look to see what role you played in that situation and how you could have done things differently. So that way, if that situation presents itself again, then you will do something different. So for me, it was a boundary. So I had to also evaluate in my life to see where were there any boundaries that were being crossed or boundaries need to be established in my life. Because right now I just clearly showed what I did and I didn't follow through with something, and then look how it turned out. So it was all a teaching moment. So for you, think about that and all too, and not, do your best to not allow another person to have that much power over you that they are having you to want to, lack of compassion and be just cold and just be like, fuck everybody. I'm not doing anything other than what are the bare bone minimum or whatever the case it may be, because you don't want to allow someone else's beliefs and attitudes and things towards stuff to change how you are and have you just being so, closed off, because that's just going to make things, it's not going to make things better for you, because then you're closing yourself off to miracles and to opportunities and to beautiful lessons and being able to help other people. So yeah, y'all, I'm gonna have to do an updated thing with the properties and just the different things that I've learned through it that are so beneficial for life, not just real estate, but you can apply those things into other areas of your life, because I'm already seeing it. I'm already seeing the experiences that I'm having with those houses and like communication, like with contractors and stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? Why doesn't people know how to communicate? And I'm like, okay, so how can I communicate better? And I said, okay, this is how I can communicate better. I'm going to communicate to them how I would like for things to go. And if they're not on board with that, that's okay. It just means that there's another contractor that I need to work with. That's okay. So, it's like that with anything. So if you speak up for yourself and you say, this is what I would like, and this is how things are, and if that person is like, yeah, I can't do that, then that's okay. They have every right to. They have every right to. That just means you just need to find somebody else in this sense. So for me, with the contractor, something as simple as I said, look, going forward now, I want to have a standing appointment on Wednesdays. If Wednesdays doesn't work for you, then give me some other days that's best. But I want about 20, 30 minutes, and we talk about all the projects and where we're at with this. What do you need with this, whatever the case may be. And if it's not with you, then you can have it be your project manager, whoever that person is, whoever's familiar with it. So I said, this is how we can communicate. So I'm going to communicate what I would like and what I need to make things more efficient. And if you resist or want to push back, like I said, being open, if it's not Wednesdays, that's okay. I'll make it work with something, but this is what I would prefer. But if not, that's okay. And I said, this is how I'll be able to stay on top of things and hold people accountable and not have to worry about all the miscommunication and blah, 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 blah. So it was a beautiful learning lesson to me, even though I was frustrated with people not communicating things. I said, okay, wait a minute. If I'm having more than one person that's not communicating well, there's something that's being highlighted here. Where in my life am I not communicating best? Maybe I'm not communicating to myself. So everything we do in life and those experiences are going to be able to shape us and help us for the other portions of our life. So even though this has been like, I'll be like, oh my God, it's a terrible experience. This sucks. Like, I'm literally, guys, I'm traumatized. I don't want to buy a property that has tenants. I'm not even going to lie. I'm so traumatized. I'm like, I don't want existing tenants at all. Nope. Now, that could depend on the area and the type of tenants and what the house and all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm not going to say I'm never going to purchase it. It just has to be the right thing for me. But I'm definitely traumatized by that. But while I'm traumatized by the whole scenario of how it happened, I've definitely learned a lot and had a lot of experiences that help to elevate me in other parts of my life. So I'm very appreciative of that. So yeah, I just want to hop on here and share my story with you guys and just make sure that you guys aren't out there allowing other people to change like who you are, like I did for that hot second. I was really on some. Isn't that crazy, guys? Because y'all been listening to me for a while. Like, that's not even me to be like, yo, like that. I'm not having no compassion for nobody. I'm just sticking to the books. If this is what this is. And I have to laugh at it because that's just not me. But they took me there. It made me feeling like that because I was so mad at myself. Why did I extend this? I shouldn't have been this. I shouldn't have been that. But in actuality, that is exactly what I needed to do. That's exactly what I needed to do because that was for me. You know, that was for me, meaning just me expressing myself, and expressing myself was saying, hey, get yourself together. Focus on this. You got this. Your kids in this. Da, 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 da. And I'm going to circle back with you on Wednesday so you don't have to stress that. Right? That was me being me. And I can no longer allow anybody to change me from being who I am. And I don't want you guys to do that either. So until next time, bye guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Seeing with Your Soul. If something you heard resonated with you, feel free to rate, review, and share with others. If you are looking to go deeper, you can connect with Tisha Michelle on Instagram at Mindset Slayer or visit www.healingalignglow.com.